Austin Powers and Stone
Hello.
Cold Steve Austin with crusty milk.
For a very long time, I've not
So let me show you how
made
we,
or
at least
posted
in
any
America,
training
got
video.
brainwashed by milk.
So today I decided to be back.
Because they only know
Should be good. Actually, I just came back from a basketball court in a residence that I do not have the access to. I was literally.
Okay, so before we get into this baby, I need to thank today's
How can I
sponsor,
say
which
that?
is one I actually
Sorry,
use and I'm excited
they
about.
told me to go.
Copilot's a platform
You
that
can,
is designed to make
you can understand it. It's a very
so much
simple
focus
version
on fitness being
as
about
that.
like getting
So I
strong
can
and being
train
faster.
more.
For me, it's just like
With
I
my
just need to
Bluetooth
move my
speaker,
body every day so I'm not
which is
sad. It's an app
making
that
the
does
sounds
phone
that you're
and
listening
watch
to,
if you want.
and
it
I
pairs you
will
up with
train
a coach
my
that
best
you actually speak
with
to,
all the
and you tell
handles,
them what you want to do, what
exercises
rigorous
that I
you want to
can
be, what kinds of
So,
things you want
let's
to
get
work
into
on,
it.
whether or not you have access to weights or a gym. So I met with
Oh,
Coach
first,
Devin. We
I
had
need
this
to
conversation about what I want to work on,
find my
and then he
ball.
loaded up like a personalized training plan for me that I could start using the next day. It's
This ball
like
is good.
frictionless, like technology.
This
Your
is
things
not.
are really nice. Like you just go through every one of your workouts. There's a visual for every single one of them, and then at the
I
end
need
of the
to
workout, you can
give it some air.
feedback to your trainer. This
Some
human
fresh air, you know?
having a
This is
person
early morning.
that is there and that you're accountable to, that's going to check in with you, changes everything. It actually makes you feel like, oh, there's someone who cares about this. For accountability, that is really, really important. So I love the human element. It's not just like an automated robot. It's actually like a real person
Yeah, oh my god.
who's
I
coaching.
forgot that this is the
Copilot
Johnny
found that
Harris
their clients
video.
are 9 times more
They
likely to
had
stick with their
some
goals because
music
of the way
that
this
you don't have the
platform
copyright to
works.
use.
And I'm not surprised. It's literally meant for accountability and facilitating a frictionless experience with moving your body. It's not about getting buff, it's about just being consistent. Though you can get buff too in the process. There's a link in my description. It is go.mycopilot.com/JohnnyHarris. If you click that link, you get a free trial with your own expert fitness and health coach. You can see if it works in helping you move your body, and if you're anything like me, that is vital for a happy life. Thank you, Copilot, for supporting this video. Let's dive in to milk. I'm not anti-milk. I love milk.
It's
Milk,
just
in fact,
us.
is pretty magical. Think about it. Milk is the first thing that we drink when we're born. It literally keeps us alive. And if you want to talk about evolution and human civilization, like milk was a huge part of this. We started domesticating animals and realized that the fatty, nutritious milk meant for this baby could also be used for these babies. But human bodies weren't able to digest milk after childhood. They didn't have the enzymes to do so, especially in other animals. But the beautiful thing about human bodies is they can change. Over time, milk became a key source of sustenance for people living in certain parts of the world, like Northern Europe, who relied on their animals during cold, harsh winters to grow crops. Same with the nomadic people in like the Sahara who relied on milk during hot summers. And doing this for 2,000 years, their genes actually changed. Suddenly they had enzymes that can help break down and digest milk, but they forced evolution to make them tolerant. Good for them. And that is why this map exists.
Why do?
There's some weakness to the methodology on how this map was made, but it captures a true point here, which is that everyone around the world digests milk differently. The bluer your country is in this map, the more people can digest milk. Today, you've got Northern Europe with like 80 or 90% of the population able to digest lactose. And because of those nomadic tribes that got used to drinking milk, that's why Niger is blue here. Meanwhile, in places like Asia, most bodies drink milk and they're like, WTF, why are you putting baby food in my adult body? We don't digest this after the age of 6. Get it out of here. Humans would find a way around this, like taking the digestive enzymes from a cow's belly already and mixing it with milk.
I really feel like my
Breaking
handles.
down of the milk. And then they let it in stage and let it ferment. Soon you're storing your milk and you're also making it kind of delicious. This is the virgin stuff like cheese and yogurt. We also turned milk into things like butter, which lasts longer and is undeniably the most delicious that has ever been made. But raw milk, the stuff right out of the cow's udder, wasn't consumed by anyone besides like kids. And frankly, that wasn't the safest thing to do because milk goes bad really quickly. When it sits around, it becomes a cozy feeding ground for microorganisms, which again is great for making cheese. But kids drinking this stuff is kind of risky. That all changed when this guy found a way to heat up milk and kill off all the dangerous pathogens. It made it way safer and way easier to extend the shelf life. He called it pasteurization, which was named after the guy's last name, pasteurization came from like the cow's pasture, but it was actually just a French guy's last name. No one knows about that. They were the only one. So, despite all of these problems, milk eats by from being canceled thanks to pasteurization. Now, kids can keep drinking. Okay, the evolution and digestion part of this video is now over. Let's get to the economics and the government policy. And now it's the United States in the 1900s, and technology has given humans new like margarine, which threatened to compete with butter. Dairy companies realized that they needed to defend their product. They needed to prove that butter was better. So they started doing science. The era of dairy science is pretty juicy. Like this study that shows that when they gave dairy to rats, they actually grew stronger and larger. And it must be because of a vitamin inside of the milk. New concept. Let's call it vitamin A. A because it's the first vitamin we discovered. So yes, this is where vitamins came from. Like we didn't have vitamins before 1912. And so now dairy companies are loving it. They have a scientific paper that says that milk corrects dietary deficiencies and quote, a little aggressive, is the greatest factor for the protection of mankind. That doesn't sound sensational or biased in any way. It sounds very scientific. It's written as factors. Dairy companies are going to be other forms of nutrition and fat that would displace them. So they formed a cooperation, a council, the National Dairy Council, that promotes all things dairy. And they start to build a strong message to the American people that dairy isn't just a nice to have, it is scientifically proven to be vital for your health. Like, let's keep some perspective here. Animal milk went from being something that humans couldn't have beyond the age of 6 to something that some of us developed a gene to be able to digest, to then something that was like a hotbed for pathogens, and we've solved that with pasteurization. But now, in the early 1900s in the United States, milk was a magical, perfect white drink that could cure all things. All of this was happening right in time for a moment that would change everything, both for the world, but also for milk's place in it. It is not an army we must take to a war. It is a nation. During World War I, the soldiers were struggling. They were sick, they were malnourished. But lucky for them, the United States was ready with a perfect product to improve their health. Milk. We need more milk. Never enough milk in the world. We were now able to condense milk into powder form. Now it could last for years on a shelf without refrigeration. This really helped milk level. Now the magic drink was a magic powder that could help our men in uniform fight the bad guys. Milk was now associated with patriotism and freedom and liberty and America. And if you want a way to like make your product popular and famous, just tie it with America. So now with their big new customer, the United States government, farmers fully shifted their businesses to dairy. They needed to meet this demand.
It's good.
But the war ended, the men in uniform came home, and these farmers were left with a massive oversupply of dairy. The government doesn't want to hurt the big patriotic dairy industry. So instead of telling dairy farmers to like go back to producing less, they convinced people to drink milk. And here's where we really start to see this vital web of relationships between dairy farmers, the United States government via the Department of Agriculture, scientists, and advertisers. It is a web of relationship that cements milk's place in our culture. It is the reason why in the 90s I was drinking like 5 cups of milk a day. Milk becomes an advertiser's dream. It's a magic white liquid that is scientifically proven to be the key to our children's health and development. And this message had a very strong ally at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, who teams up with the dairy industry. So it's like after World War I and the USDA gets involved in these campaigns. The reason I want to show you this stuff from like the reports isn't because I want to do a history lesson. It's
I can say that I really keep the momentum in
how it
these
supported the dairy industry, how it
next
pushed a
moves.
lot of propaganda. Because
So good.
when you see it here in the 20s, 100 years ago, you'll see the version of today, which will show you in a moment, and you'll see this connection, and you'll be like, wow, that must have changed, and it will kind of blow your mind. A little foreshadow. Anyway, look at this thing. So, you have this education milk for health campaign. This is effectively the government telling the people what they deem as the healthy thing for everyone. There were milk songs and plays and posters, and this terrifying clown that told you to brush your teeth and drink your milk. By 1937, kids are supposed to be drinking 1 quart of milk a day. Luckily, from the video I made about the metric system, we've got measuring vessels around here. Okay, it is criminal. Here's the USDA doing studies to scientifically prove that this is legit. It's not just advertisers. Look, the government is doing studies and publishing them. And now they are weighing children and measuring them to show that after this big milk campaign, the kids are taller and weigh more. And here they are with a bottle of milk and 2 graham crackers for lunch. Like it truly is becoming the substance for children. And I mean, look at this. The smoking gun proof of it all. One of these brats had milk and the other didn't. These brats are the same age and each of them had the same feet except milk pills.
Qualities of sun.
Okay,
Absorb
but
the
this
ability
is just advertising.
to
This is
vitamin
like
D.
real science, right? It's like South Dakota State College, which is a real college, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture cooperating, 2 authoritative institutions. Right? So, like any science that is being done, you have to look at the interests here. It turns out that the people doing this science at South Dakota State College were receiving a bunch of money from the state legislature because South Dakota is a big dairy industry. So they fund this dairy science program, and suddenly all of these really positive dairy studies that, again, the USDA wants to protect its rural farmers
That is
helping support as well. Positive science means more dairy sales, which means supporting local rural economies, which means supporting America, which is so depressing to me. Yeah, I know this was like in the 20s and 30s, but like this same thing happens today. Science that is funded by certain industries with a certain agenda, and it just sort of muddies everything. Okay, but what about the economy? What happens when the Great Depression comes? And now Americans can't really afford it. Usually this would hit the dairy industry and have to scale down, because now the demand for milk is way lower. The farmers weren't going to let this happen. They were becoming like royalty. And so they respond by going on strike, dumping a bunch of milk into the streets to artificially limit supply and drive the price back up. And to be like, F you government, where are you at? So to fix this, milk's new loyal ally, the U.S. government, steps in and passes a law that says that if the price of milk dips below the cost that it takes to produce it, instead of free market economics, where the dairy farmers would just make less of it, the government would step in and cover the cost difference. Let them keep making their milk. And now the government is really messy with the invisible hand, the market that helps supply and demand to link up with each other at the right price. Once you start doing that, it's really hard to go back. So then add in another World War, where even more farmers got into the milk game for him. By the 50s, milk is cemented into the American psyche. For years of creative storytelling, shady scientific messaging, war, and a government who was more and more influenced by dairy farmers. The pattern repeats itself in the 70s. The economy is tanking, dairy farmers are struggling again, and who's here to save them? Jimmy Carter. Jimmy did what American leaders before him did. He bowed down before the massive dairy lobby and bailed out farmers once again. This time in the form of $2 billion going into the dairy industry to guarantee high prices. And, crucially for our story, to buy the extra milk that nobody wanted. Suddenly, farmers who were broke had loads of cash, and they were incentivized to produce as much milk as possible because they knew the government would buy it from them. Okay, but wait, what is the government doing with all this milk? Milk spoils really fast. Okay, says Jimmy Carter and company. Instead of buying the milk itself, let's also buy a bunch of stuff that uses milk. Stuff that can be stored and forgotten, like butter, and powder, and cheese. So dairy farmers were producing tons of milk and cheese. And the government at one point was buying a quarter of all cheddar cheese in America. But unsurprisingly, when your big customer is the U.S. government is buying your cheese because America, you're not going to actually make a great product. One woman who grew up with this stuff wrote about it in an essay and described it as like poor man's Velveeta.
Government cheese makes the best grilled cheese you've ever had in your life.
And that's really sad because dairy can be really cool. Like I see France with a tradition of like brie and like camembert, and like Holland has Gouda. And we've got this American cheese, pasteurized processed cheese, which is kind of more like a cheese-like substance and isn't a product of like culture and like refining a craft. It's a product of modern industrial policies and technology.
This is
It would help the United
a drew
States
from
cement its place
by any means
as
basketball.
some of the worst cheese in the world.
I'll try my
Where do
best.
you buy government cheese? You got to be on the special method. And government cheese is also
Let's
So
fix
this is how we ended
camera
up
to
with
here.
a surplus of horrible cheese sitting in limestone caves in Kansas. In the 70s, there was 200 million pounds of extra cheese and other dairy products sitting there. And this is why the government started giving it away to food banks and to America's poor, the underserved that wouldn't be buying this cheese in the first place, so they weren't throwing off the other customers and driving the price down. That's partly because Americans on welfare were disproportionately non-white, African, Asian, or Native American descendants, meaning they're way more likely to be lactose intolerant. See the section above about evolution and the milking and stuff? This cheese also flowed to schools and prisons. And now we're in the 90s, my childhood, where I'm drinking a lot of milk every day. And this is where the whole government advertising science thing gets a lot worse in my opinion.
My mom just always told me, drink your milk.
Drinking milk is awesome, and having 3 glasses of milk a day helps us to really stay lean and fit.
The thing about the government getting involved in setting the prices for stuff is that once you start, it's really hard to go back. For some markets, that's okay. Like insurance and electricity utilities, the government should be involved. But milk, like it's just a thing that people could choose to buy or not. Like it should be left to the individual hand to decide how much people actually want, how much they're willing to pay, and therefore how much firms should produce. But instead, the U.S. government had created a totally distorted market with a bunch of fake demands, and in the process incentivizing farmers to make tons of milk that nobody wanted. And the problem is with these policies is the surplus was just getting bigger and bigger. At one point, the government literally had to start paying dairy farmers to stop producing milk, to slaughter their herds. But even that wasn't working. So what's the next solution? Well, they tried what they did in the 20s. Instead of getting the farmers to produce less, let's convince the people to drink more. So we pass a law that allows all dairy farmers to pitch into this big fund that they can use for advertising and research, which are kind of becoming the same thing. And the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, becomes like the referee to make sure that like they're not doing any false advertising. And this is where we get campaigns like this.
Milk, it does the body good.
And in the 90s, the unforgettable got milk. Who shot Alexander Hamilton?
So this is good time for churros, and I will finish up.
The people who coordinated this were freaking brilliant. They turned got milk into like a cool thing that every celebrity wanted to be part of. The point where they're taking like way cheaper rates for these campaigns just because it was like a cool thing to do. This is how you get this huge variety of different celebrities all appearing in magazines and ads. Milk, not a particular brand of milk, just milk.
Mr. Noble, you never needs milk.
And these cool celebrities are telling us the story that milk builds strong bones, it has calcium and other essential nutrients, and that it even helps you lose weight. Meanwhile, they're funding all of these studies that are validating their claims, and the USDA standing by to let them all happen. So this is why in the 90s, my mom had like a bunch of these in her refrigerator. And I can't blame her. Like, what are you gonna do? The government authority on nutrition is telling you that you should be drinking milk. You're seeing it on all these billboards and magazines with real studies talking about calcium and bone health. This really embedded itself. But if there's anything we've learned is that no matter how much these forces push milk on us, people don't actually want to drink as much milk anymore. Milk demand, even during the got milk years, started going down. But the dairy lobby wasn't going to let up. They were going to take the hit from the market. So they started finding other ways to get us to drink milk. Instead of drinking it, we would eat it. So the modern version of this is the dairy lobby looking at fast food restaurants, partnering with them to give us all kinds of cheesy things. You can't see it, but in all of these cheesy advertisements, the dairy lobby is there, lobbying and pushing to get more and more cheese in these products. The dairy industry literally has its own like marketing agency called Dairy Management, whose goal it is to make this happen. They partner with fast food chains, and they give us stuff like Pizza Hut's 3 cheese stuffed crust pizza and the Summer of Cheese campaign, or personal favorite, Taco Bell's steak quesadilla that has cheddar, pepper jack, mozzarella, and cheese sauce that increased dairy sales by 4%. This one product. That's because it uses 8 times more cheese than any other product on the menu. 8 times more cheese.
A tasty triumph of culinary engineering. And the new steak is made today.
Or Domino's, who has a cheese pizza that has 40% more cheese on it. They It generates $177 million of sales. And the input for all this cheese? 1 billion additional pounds of milk. But of course, we gotta hit the schools. The schools are a fantastic place to put dairy to. So Domino's now gets pizza into 2,000 schools nationwide. And we've got emails.
Correct.
Here's an email between Pizza Hut
Yes,
and
deep waited.
the Dairy Lobby's marketing
Totally.
agency. They're talking about how to sell more pizza and more cheese. I mean, it's brilliant if you're a marketing person. These people advertise. They're like, people are drinking milk this much. Let's just pile it onto freaking stuffed crust and cheese pizzas around America. Oh, and by the way, these people sign their names as Lord of Cheese and Lady of Cheese. These people are serious about dairy. The point I'm making here is these people aren't nutritionists. Like, they are not concerned with anything other than selling more dairy. Like the former CEO of the dairy marketing company, like, if every pizza included 1 more ounce of cheese, it would sell an additional 250 million pounds of cheese annually. Just 1 more pound down Americans' throats. I mean, again, I don't blame these people. They're freaking advertisers. They literally only care about selling stuff. What concerns me is that they're doing this with the blessing of the government agency who I pay taxes to. It is a powerful, all-seeing health agency that dictates our nutritional guidelines. And yet they stand by and support these campaigns. All of these products that have such excessive amounts of dairy in them. Wait, so why does this happen? Why is the USDA like on the side of dairy farmers? On their website, it says that their job is to promote stuff that will help better nourish Americans. They've got things like food pyramid, and they're supposed to be a source of objective information about what we should eat. But wait, look at this. In the same page, on their mission, they also say that they are supposed to, quote, help rural America thrive and to promote agricultural production. Help Americans know how to nourish themselves and promote rural America. Which one of those things is more important? I mean, the answer to that is clear. Look at the nutritional guidelines that they put out. Be like, here's what you should eat. And look at who advises them on this. Yeah, there's like some like experts and doctors from universities, but there's also like executives from companies like Dannon, a yogurt company, and a bunch of other dairy people who have no other interest than making money, and yet they're like in the same room as the people who are deciding what Americans should eat. But no, that's not how it works. Dairy has been shoehorned into so much of the messaging from our government to us over the years that, again, of course my mom's gonna be like, yeah, you gotta drink milk. The government is telling us that this is good.
This is all I said. Give everything you got.
So yeah,
It's like
the dairy
Peaceeeee.
industry is so deep into our government. This unnatural false demand that we have in our country for dairy is really
Yeah.
hard to like rewind.
Thanks,
And the amount of money
Chris
that
Harrier,
those
for
influential lawmakers
giving me that
to keep this whole
quote
thing going,
and that
you
spirit.
can't really cut it off. But some of you were thinking, like,
And
we're
try my
talking about
best.
cigarettes.
I know that my best
No, it's not. a
it's not
bad
even
thing.
the
like,
worst of so many people out there.
For your bones,
The professional
right?
players, the amateur players,
No,
they are much better,
yes,
better than
but
me.
No.
But anyway, I will
Yes,
try my
it's
best.
good for your bones.
The
Milk
only
has things
comparison that I need to
help
make
you, but, like, you
is
can
to
get all of
myself
that stuff
from the past.
other places. There's
The
nothing
previous
special
version of
about
mine,
this white
it is
substance
worse
unless
than
you're
today's
a
version.
farmer in
So I am
Sweden in
successful. I will
1532,
say nothing
and
else
it's
than that.
winter and you can't have
So,
crops.
yeah,
like
I will
with
try.
less than a cup of
I will
almonds,
try
you
every
get that
day
much calcium.
and see
Try
what happens.
figs, some
Thanks so much for
cooked
watching.
egg, even
I'll see you next
tofu,
time.
which comes from
Peace out.
soybeans. You can get
Let's
this stuff from
turn
a
on camera.
bunch of different foods. And a reminder that